Hello, everybody. My name is Dratnos, and welcome to our first look at hero talents. Well, our second look after BlizzCon in the War Within. So, the way this is going to work, I'm going to read through the post here by Blizzard and add thoughts and stuff to it. And then over the next several hours, I'll probably make one video per revealed hero talent tree. So, YouTube feed might get a little bit spammy today. Sorry about that. But I feel like that's the best way to approach this. And obviously, hero talents are a new feature announced for the War Within. They've said that these are going to stick with us for the next 3 expansions at least as well, and maybe go away after that. So it's an important system, and it's one of the ones that's in that sort of space of things like covenants, that kind of stuff, where this is going to matter a lot for how your character plays for the next while. So it's got a lot of ramifications for all players for the next few years. So let's get into it. The War Within expansion introduces hero talents as a new update to World of Warcraft classes. They are an evergreen form of character progression for each class specialization that introduces new powers and class fantasies. Feedback is critical to us as a part of creating an impactful and fun addition to the game, so we're sharing our goals with hero talents with the community to get first impressions of them and learn how well we're meeting those goals. What are hero talents? They are new, self-contained talent trees that players unlock access to at level 71. Hero talents build on the abilities and talents of current classes and specializations. Players can choose a single hero talent tree to activate on a character, and these talents can be changed in the same way class talents can be currently changed in-game. So it's not like you're choosing one per character. You know, you choose one in the same way you choose Arms, Prod, or Fury, and then you swap between them as you want. There are 3 hero talent trees for each class, excluding Druid with 4 and Demon Hunter with 2, and each spec has 2 hero talent trees they can choose between, and each of these trees is an option for 2 specs. So here's an example of that. This is Warrior, right? And these are the 3 hero talents, right? Mountain's Thane, Slayer, and Colossus. And you can see how each one, like if you're Arms, you can't actually play Mountain Thane. Mountain Thane is for Prot or Fury. Slayer is for Prot or Arms. Colossus is for Fury or Arms. And they generally have tried to fit these things into the sort of shared fantasy overlap between the specs that share it. Although, obviously, in some cases, that's going to be a little bit more, a little bit more of a stretch than others. There are 11 nodes in a hero talent tree. The first of these unlocks at 71, and you get 1 point per level from 71 to 80, so you get every talent in the tree by 80. Hero talents will have starter builds available, and your save builds will save your hero talent choices as well. So you will get the whole tree, right? 71, 72, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80, and I guess you get a bonus one when you first unlock the tree. You probably get the capstone for free at 71 or whatever. So you get the whole tree. You're not going to have to choose which paths you take, unlike talent trees, but you see there are choice nodes in here, so you will have some customization going on here, and there will still be an element of building this. But it is a little bit less like talents in that way because you are just going to get the whole thing. So what do we expect from hero talents? Each tree starts with a keystone that introduces the core mechanic and concept of the tree. So that's the top here. This could be a new ability, an enhancement to an existing ability or cooldown, or a new buff you can trigger. The bottom talent is a capstone that builds on core themes of the tree or adds new power to the keystone. Each tree will offer or modify some class utility and include defensive bonuses that are useful to all specs. We're aiming for all trees to be about equal in the amount of utility and defensiveness they provide. Trees for characters that can take on a tanking role may have some additional defense bonuses that will be less valuable to healers or damage dealers, such as bonuses to tank talents or cooldowns. 3 or 4 nodes in each tree will be choice nodes where you can choose between 2 options. I do think this is a interesting problem that they've got to solve with these, which is the hero talents that are shared between DPS and tanks. If those have more defensiveness in them, they'll just be better than the ones that are shared between 2 DPS, right? So like, for instance, Mountain Thane versus Colossus. If you're a Fury Warrior and Mountain Thane just has extra defense in it because it's also for tanks and Colossus doesn't, is Mountain Thane just going to be better? Or does Colossus get more damage put into it as a result? That leads to Colossus being worth more if you're a DPS warrior, because it doesn't have garbage tank stuff tied in. And it sounds like their plan here is additional defensive bonuses that are mostly for the tanks in those trees, bonuses to tank talents or cooldowns. I think that's a good way to do it, and then you can still balance them to be, the same DPS output for the specs that share them, right? But then you can also give Mountain Thane some defensive oomph to it, but only through things that interact with the Prot Warrior kit, so that Fury Warriors aren't having, a tanky choice and a non-tanky choice. I think that's a good way of doing this. That seemed like a hard problem for me when I was thinking about it conceptually. Okay, and then 3 or 4 will be choice nodes, where you can choose between 2 options. Hero talents are meant to add enough damage or healing throughput to be significant without being so important that these new talents overshadow your current class and spec tree talents. Most hero talent trees add new visual effects to classes, both to communicate what they're doing and bring their class fantasies to life. However, these are not complete visual reworks. Your class and spec are still the same at their core, and that will continue to come through. Again, seems good. Maintaining freedom to choose. We want players to be free to choose the hero talent tree that has the gameplay, visuals, or flavor that they prefer. Our goal is for both options to feel similarly effective in raid dungeons, Mythic Plus, and PvP. We're working to avoid abilities or bonuses that could make a certain tree feel required for activities where we can. We know that for some players, prioritizing total throughput is the most important thing to them, even if the difference between choices seems small. That's okay, but keeping hero talent balance close is one of our priorities so players can play what they prefer and still be viable in any content. This is, I think, exactly the line I would want to see from them. Again, you're never going to get it perfect, right? It's going to be very hard to make it so that Mountain Thane and Colossus are perfectly balanced, and there's not like one that is better, at least on any given encounter, right? Like 90% of Fury Warriors on Mythic difficulty will probably pick one on any given fight. That's like unavoidable. I don't think that's a bad thing to try and avoid, but trying to keep them close and trying to make sure you don't make certain trees feel required by putting stuff like, say, a very powerful AoE crowd control effect within one tree that's going to make it mandatory for Mythic Plus, that kind of stuff, I think is a really good goal here as well. So again, happy to see this line here. Compared to Covenants, I think they have a lot easier of a time, right? Covenants were basically even more than this, right? Because instead of 3 hero talents that were shared between 2 specs each, right? They had 4 Covenants that were shared between 3 specs each. So that's a lot more like combinations than will exist with hero talents. It's still a big balancing task that they're undertaking. Don't get me wrong about that. I definitely expect that there will be some specs and some hero talents that, are relatively unbalanced, at least for a patch or two, in the course of the next 2 expansions. But I still think that this goal is admirable, and if they get close to it, that's good. And the fact that they're fully swappable between all content mitigates the downside here a lot, too. One of the biggest problems for me with Covenants was the talents, the one that was effective in raid dungeons and Mythic Plus were 2 different ones for me at the start of that expansion, which just completely killed my enjoyment of that. So that won't be necessarily a problem this time because I can just use the one that I want for each form of content and not get punished for it. So already much more encouraging than that. And yeah, very, very happy to see this. How we chose hero talent concepts. Since we announced hero talents at BlizzCon, it's been great to see all the conversation and speculation surrounding the 39 hero talent titles. We'd like to share some of the thinking that went behind choosing those concepts. Each concept must be appropriate for both of the specs that can use it. Some concepts build on the overlaps of abilities or flavors between the 2 specs that can use it, like Colossus Warriors, which are mighty as arms warriors and as imposing as protection warriors. Others create new themes that are appropriate for both specs, like Fate-bound rogues. And then, I guess what they haven't... Yeah, okay, and then I guess hero talents also retain your combat role in the gear you use, so you're not competing for new types of gear. For iconic Warcraft character archetypes, we wanted to be sure we could deliver on their fantasy with World of Warcraft's classes. Blade Masters just wouldn't be Blade Masters without abilities like Windwalk and Mirror Image, but those abilities don't fit in a warrior's toolkit, which, yeah, it does suck, right? Because, like, there are some really iconic archetypes from Warcraft RTS that didn't make it in here, so Yeah, sad. I'm a little sad to see that. I do think that. I mean, I'm sure they tried. I'm sure they tried to make a Blade Master one of the warrior options. Um, but if they really don't think that they could get it to feel both like a Blade Master and be balanced, I'm glad they let it go. It's just, that is sad to see. Lastly, there are several iconic character archetypes that are tied strongly to specific races and factions, such as Keeper of the Grove or Mountain Thane. It's exciting to embody these storied archetypes, but we want to ensure that characters of every race and faction can see themselves as those archetypes. We're open to feedback on what feels good for your characters versus what is frustrating. This also makes sense to me to have these. I mean, I think that some of these hero talents should be ones that are a little bit more, aggressive or a little bit more niche, and I think it's worth it to try things like that, or like Dark Ranger, right, which is so clearly tied with Sylvanas. And that whole lore, it's like, yeah, that does make it a little bit more, shoehorned, and certain characters are going to feel a little bit less like it fits them, but it's also just so iconic that I think it's worth doing those as well as the more generic ones. I think a good, a few of them being like that is probably the ideal. All right, gameplay and hero talents. We have several goals for what it feels like to play World of Warcraft with hero talents. Here are some of our guiding principles for how they affect your capabilities, your rotation, what you pay attention to in combat, and your UI. We like to say on the team that our goal for hero talents gameplay is for them to make you what you are, but more. We know that many of you have long histories with your favorite classes, and you play them because you like their gameplay and the spells and abilities that matter in their rotation, whether it's the spinning plates of Affliction, the cycles of Arcane, or the frenetic reactivity of Fury. Hero talents don't override what matters to a class. You should feel like you're playing your spec with a twist or a boost, and not as if things you care about have become unimportant or been replaced. A hero talent might add new behavior or bonuses to an existing ability, like Keeper of the Grove's bonuses to Force of Nature and Grove Guardian Treants. They might occasionally reset the cooldown on abilities or replace spells with more powerful versions. They might make it easier to maintain important buffs or grant additional resources at key moments. One thing we're keeping a close eye on is complexity. Classes in WoW have a lot of abilities and talents, and there's a lot to learn about each one. We want hero talents to add new fun without creating new burdens, either in customizing or playing a character. Most hero talent trees do not add new buttons that players will need to add to their action bar or find a new keybind for. This is big here. There will be additional opportunities for players to express their skill, but we're trying not to add things like complex maintenance buffs that will increase the cognitive load for everyone playing a class. Most of the choices a player will make about how complex they want their rotation to be will continue to be made in their class and spec talent trees. I think this is good. I don't think this should be a hard and fast rule, so I think it's good that it's most, but I think, trying to key these things into existing buttons and modifying them rather than adding new stuff to your bars. For most specs, there's already a lot of stuff you can add to your bars with various builds of existing class and spec talent trees, so it's nice to not need everybody to find some more keybinds, because a lot of us have already done that for Dragonflight, right? Some hero talents do require you to take certain talents in your class or spec trees to access their powers. This is often because those talents fit the flavor and theme of that specific hero talent tree. The Mountain Thane Warrior tree enhances Avatar and Thunderclap. Templar Paladin gives extra power to Wake of Ashes, and Elun's Chosen Druids can cast a particularly strong Fury of Elun. However, a hero talent tree will only ever require or enhance a small number of class or spec talents. It's important to us that there is still freedom in customizing your class build. Now, in practice, a lot of trees, if you fix even one or two talents at the bottom of the tree, that does lock in a lot of the top of the tree. But I still think this is fair. Again, class and spec trees, a lot of them throughout Dragonflight really haven't had that much huge shifts that you make in how you build them. There have been a few classes and specs that have had like a bunch of different good builds within the same patch, but for a lot of them, you kind of have like one or two builds depending on the circumstance, and then the things that change it is like the next patch changes some things about it. So I don't think that this is necessarily. I think this makes sense again here. Anyways, show us the hero talent trees. Over the coming months, we'll be sharing full designs for hero talent trees from War Within. We're excited to hear what you think of them. We're starting things off by sharing the first set of trees below here. You'll find Sand Lane Death Knights, Chrono Warden Evokers, Lightsmith Paladins, and Mountain Thane Warriors. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and sharing more as we progress in development. Now, you can also click through and expand these to see what each of these do, but don't do that yet because I'm going to make videos over the next several hours that go through each of these, and you should consume that content through me. Thank you. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.